weekly pour podcast, proving time and time again that success is 1% inspiration, 98% perspiration, and 2% attention to detail. Here are your hosts, TBT and Ace.
What's up, guys? I am TBT. That guy over there is Ace, and as you see, we've got somebody in the middle. Let me be the first to introduce you to, now, are you ready for this? All right, so if you've seen our social media, you knew that we were going to have a guest, and blew us away when she reached out, just because of the subject matter. But let me introduce you to behavioral and psychology expert and cornhole personality, Michelle Thompson. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks for having me.
Wait, I can do better for applause. There we go. Again, welcome. I appreciate you coming to visit with us. We were talking off air right before we came on about you reaching out and us thinking, hey, it's about cornhole. We're based in Indiana. It is like the pastime for everybody, no matter the time of year, summertime, wintertime, people are playing in garages. The thing is, I don't think anybody really knows that there are rules.
Kind of.
I mean, I don't know.
There's definitely some rules.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine reach out after I posted the stuff on social media that told me that there was like, it's like 1 point if you get on the board, 2 points if it's in the hole. And then I started saying, well, what if you don't make it in the hole and you knock somebody else's in the hole? Do you get that point or do they get the point? And it was like, yep, don't know. So we are complete novices to this. You're going to come out of here looking like even more of an expert than you already are. And we are going to probably still look the same.
But in everyone's defense, we're probably 4, 5, 6 beers in when we're knocking things in the hole.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the cornhole boards.
Right.
That's typically how people start for sure. It is 3 points when it goes in the hole, by the way. Just wanted to correct that. So you can score yourself correctly. But so 3 points every time the bag goes in the hole. Time. Even if your bag goes in with someone else's or someone else hits your bag in, when any of your bags that go in the hole is 3 points.
For both?
Who came up with rules? Is this why you had to form or be a part of an association? Did it have to be formed to make up these rules?
So the American Cornhole League is a professional league. So we have pros that play and compete, and they've been around for about 5 or 6 years, and it just keeps growing. This season, we had over 800 players come and compete for their pro spots. There's only 32 available. So I mean, it's no joke. It's yeah, exactly. So we have 256 pros. Yep.
That's extremely competitive.
Holy crap. 800 for 32 spots. See, I'm already blown away because, and I mean this with no disrespect, whatever, it's cornhole. But I guess people thought the same thing about bowling or volleyball, right. Once those got going. But now I think it's just the name cornhole. Yeah,
it definitely has its
because
unique phrases that go along with it.
Oh, sure. Like back in our days of growing up, cornhole was something that you heard from Beavis and Butthead.
Right.
So
yeah, we still hear that. But it is what's cool about it is unlike bowling and some of the other sports that you might compare it to is there's a defensive game. So you can put up blocks and you can put up things to either play offensively and just try to get as many bags in the hole as you can, or defensively and try to mess up the opponent that you're playing against. So it gets really fun to watch because you see these different kinds of shots to get around bags, whether it's an air meld to go over, whether it's a roll to roll over the bag, or a cut to go around the bag. And there's flop shots and there's all these different shots. There's bar soaps where you push the bag over the hole and go in. I mean, it is getting crazy. These players are absolutely insane.
Who came up with the terminology?
It's
that's
been
amazing.
Like kind of it's been kind of a community effort. There's a couple analysts that have come up with names as they happen. We actually saw a new shot at a couple opens ago. A couple weeks ago at the Open, where there was like probably where's my camera? This much of the whole Open. I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Yeah, whatever. It's like a sliver of the hole open, and he rolled his bag and slid in, and we named it the coin slot, and that was a brand new shot we've never seen before.
The coin slot. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
So
we're going to
we
come up with something, and we're going to call it the weekly pour. And it's like when you throw all of them at the same time, and they all go in the hole.
Hey, there you go. Pour it in.
Exactly.
we kind of jumped in right off the bat, but tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do with the association, how you got involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just started playing cornhole just like you guys, just in my backyard. I had no idea there was a professional league or all this stuff around it. I just played it for fun when we were barbecuing. And then I started going to local leagues in my town, and I got really addicted to it. And I decided to, I guess I caught the bug, and I decided to really get involved in the world. And I actually started a company called Girls Throw 2, which was a female cornhole company. I've since moved on from that company, but when I was part of it, I attracted the attention of the American Cornhole League to come on as a commentator for them and a content producer. So at this time, I commentate for them. So I'm on the live streams at the games commentating. I host 2 of their podcasts, and then I'll be doing all their sideline reporting this season. So you'll see me on ESPN and CBS interviewing the players after they win.
There are television slots on ESPN and CBS.
Absolutely. Yeah, for the last couple years.
Wow.
Hey, I'll take those over putting the spelling bee on ESPN.
Well,
right.
If you remember, well, we don't remember as much, but in the old days of ESPN, they were putting things like that on, like bull riding and bowling and whatever they could find until they got, the bigger contracts.
Until they all got their own channel.
Yeah, that too. But it's kind of cool that they would dedicate some time to cornhole and the association like that. So when you say sideline reporter, do what?
Way, that's when it blew up. It happened during COVID because all the sports were shut down, but cornhole is naturally social distance, so we were able to continue and get out those contracts.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool for you guys.
Yeah.
So when you say sideline reporting, what do you do?
Yeah, so that's actually just like any other sport.
Sideline reports.
Yeah, so when the game ends, I walk out onto the court and interview them for the camera. See, ask them a few questions before we move on to the commercial break.
Okay, I didn't know if they cut to you during the play-by-play and they say, Michelle, what's the feel down on the field, or whatever they say.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, exactly. So I definitely, once the match is over, I'll be out on the courts, and then there's 2 broadcasters, Trey Ryder and Jeff McCarriger, and then I can hop in at any point on the mic and give my 2 cents when it seems appropriate as well.
So that's what it's called. It's called a court. It's not called a cornhole field or anything like that. It's a court.
But yeah, we call it a court.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
It's important to know. I got to write this down.
Yeah,
I'm going to take the test at the end.
Good.
Coin slot.
I already wrote that one down.
We're just learning about that one.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody in the chat. It looks like we've got some of our regulars. Kathy's in. Good evening, Kathy. Natalie, our moderator, is in. Shannon, how are you? And I'm not even going to mention the fact that everybody's already talking about turtles for some reason. So we're just going to let that one go.
So we're really entertaining then.
Well, turtles have a
they have
a special place for us on this show. So it's really not surprising. They're
I'm not seen one yet. Not in a while.
I don't know. I just whatever. So before this whole cornhole thing. Before you were, discovered and got into that, what were you doing before? Like, what led to this other than, you would play and stuff like that? Did you go to college, and I mean, I'm sure there were college teams, but maybe you weren't even into cornhole then. I mean, what was before the legend of cornhole?
Yeah, I didn't play cornhole when I was in college. I'm much too old for that. but I was actually doing weight loss coaching. I have a background in psychology, as you mentioned, so I would work with people when they had issues with binge eating, overeating, chronic dieting, things like that. And I'm really so my master's is in human behavior, and my PhD, which I haven't finished yet, is in psychology. So I had a huge passion for that. And when I started discovering how to help people with their bodies and health and weight, I started to get really into speaking and doing media. So that's kind of where so I started a podcast. I started booking news segments, and I have a background in musical theater. So I have a lot of experience in front of a camera and in front of a microphone. So that's what kind of all came to fruition with is this kind of blend of my love for cornhole and then my experience in media as well.
So is there anything you don't do?
Yeah, there's a lot of things I don't do.
It is. I mean, that's awesome.
Anything mechanical I don't do.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Well, we'll get into some of the other stuff that you're involved with. I know you do a lot of work with women, which is to absolutely be applauded. But we're going to get through this whole cornhole thing because, we're still lost. But I do want to touch on some of your other stuff because I think it's just important to go over. You guys, as teams, do teams reach out to get sponsored, like fishing tournaments and all that? Because I've seen some of the things, people are wearing like Bush's baked beans, and I figure there's a lot of I'm gonna get hell for this. I figure there's like a bunch of redneck kind of sponsors. It's like Marlboro. Well, probably not smoking, but I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, we don't do the smoking ones.
Yeah,
but yeah, we definitely have sponsors. The ACL has their own sponsors. That's where we get our prize pool. So our prize pool last season was $1 million for the players. So we're hoping to do that or better for this season.
Just noticed how quick you got our attention.
still wrapping up. Hey, you make money as a pro. Our top pros right now are getting 6-figure sponsorships from their bag companies right now. And the number one player in the world is right there out of Indiana, Mark Richards. He's our top player. He's number one. So definitely some money to be made. Now, that's not the norm, right? There's 256 pros, and I would say maybe 4 or 5 are getting that kind of money out of that field. So but the really top elite ones are.
Are they soliciting their own sponsors as well?
Yes.
Okay,
There's
so it's
5 spots on your jersey that you can sell for sponsorships, just on your jersey alone, let alone if you want to sell additional sponsorships for social media and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's a lot like bass fishing and all that.
I wouldn't know.
Yes.
I don't watch fishing, but
I don't either. I just see everybody wearing the shirts, but we'll say NASCAR.
Good deal. Yeah, exactly.
If you're a pro in this, your overhead though is pretty low, isn't it? I mean, your investment is what? Well, yeah.
It's a lot of traveling. Yeah, that's going to be the bulk of your money is just trying to get. We have 5 or 4 nationals plus worlds. That's your pro only events that you got to travel to. There's 16 opens and I believe 10 shootouts. Don't quote me on that one, but the shootouts are a really good moneymaker for the pros. They try to get to that one. And so if you think about it, just me as someone who's contracted for nationals and shootouts and celebrity super holes, that's 18 travels just for me in 8 months. The pros, if they wanted to attend opens, would be even more than that.
Are you basically traveling all over the country, or is it like just Midwest or West or
all over? Yeah, and we even have players in Canada and Europe.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming over here.
Rarely, yeah. So that's kind of newer. The international pros are new. We had one event in the Netherlands and one in Canada last season. I think we're talking about Australia for this season. I'm not quite sure, but you're not seeing too much of... You're seeing Canadians travel over for a lot of our events, but not much of the Europeans yet.
So how long is this season?
So technically the full season starts from October all the way through August. So it's like most of the year.
Holy cow.
But like for me, I know, but for me, like for the pro events don't start till January and they go through August. So I'm kind of in an off season right now. I haven't traveled since August or I guess September. And then my first travel will be New Year's weekend in Myrtle Beach. We're going to have our draft. We have a team's draft that I will be hosting with 2 other people I know.
Yeah. But if I go as a pro, I mean, do I not get to pick my caddy like I play golf? I don't get to choose who my partner is?
You can choose your doubles partner. That's a separate event. So you can play singles, you can play doubles, and then we have teams. And teams is, like I
Oh,
said, you're drafted for.
okay.
There's lots of events you can play, and the cool thing about Teams is Teams has its own broadcast on CBS. So it's a lot of opportunity to get on national television for these pros who maybe aren't at the top and getting into singles and doubles all the time.
So you've kind of just led right into my next set of questions. You have singles, you have team, and then you have doubles.
Hmm.
Are they strictly like men, in all of those, or do you guys do co-ed events during that time?
It's all mixed, so you
Oh,
can have male
nice.
or female partners. We do have women's and senior events that lead off our weekends, but they don't count the same as the single and doubles. It's kind of just an additional event for them to kind of grow that part of the league, because it's limited numbers in those categories. It
Sure.
is mostly male dominated and mostly younger male dominated, but you can have teams of anything. There's no difference.
So what is your ratio right now, you would say, from men to women?
We have 32 women, I believe. So 220 something men.
Oh, wow. I actually thought it would have been a little closer than that. All right.
Yeah, the women are definitely, a little bit behind. And I notice just when I have friends over, for example, if it's a couple and they didn't play cornhole or don't play cornhole, the male typically walks up to the board and is like, I could probably, like do okay,
It's a guy
and the
thing.
yeah, and the females are like, I'm not even gonna try. I'll embarrass myself. So if you think about just that,
Exactly.
like basic psychology, it already makes
Right.
that number make a lot more sense.
Yeah, because as guys, we don't really care if we embarrass ourselves as a sport
Yeah,
because it's like, we tried. My elbow hurts. We'll have some
right.
kind of an excuse.
Yeah, we'll
I
do
would
it
be
better
afraid
next.
for my wife to go up there because she'd probably look at the board and be like, "Give it to me," and she'd have the bag and do some kind of crazy calculations in her head and go floop and like boom, done. So I would slowly turn around and walk away.
My
I love
wife
it.
would look at it and then hit me.
Right.
That's what happened. I would be behind her, but she would still hit me. That's how that works.
Hey, we all start somewhere. I mean, when I started off, I was not good at all. It took time.
So you said $1 million was the biggest prize you guys have had. I, I'm assuming obviously it's a cash prize. Now, do sponsors bring in like a case of Bush's baked beans or like a boat or these fancy cornhole boards?
So we haven't had like the sponsors give prizes away like that, but they'll be at the events a lot of times with booths giving away free like spiced what is it, Bacardi? I'm
Yeah,
forgetting what the name of
you
it
got to
is.
have the
Bacardi
swag.
Spice, something like that. Anyways, they come to all the events and they give away tons of Bacardi away, and they do a pre-party a lot of times for the pros, and give alcohol. So they
You
definitely
just
show
said
up, and
free
then
alcohol, so the chat went crazy.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun times. We like when we were in
Are these
Vegas, it was really fun. Went to a club and everything.
Nice.
are these indoor events, outdoor events? How big are these venues that you're using?
Venues are huge. Typically indoor. We have done a couple outdoor, but it's really difficult to deal with the elements. Like we did one in Atlanta, and it poured rain, even though it was summer because it's the South. So we had to keep stopping, and as it just gets. And then we did one in so there's a celebrity house that his name is Shamar Moore. He's on SWAT, and
Oh my gosh,
uh, yeah,
my wife would be jumping in that in the chat on that one.
Okay. All right.
She's
So
already there.
he created something called Airmail City at his house, and we did an event at his house. And that was outside. That's in Southern California, and it was like 108 degrees that weekend. So it was brutal. So we've done the outdoor thing, but 95% of our events are indoor.
And
So, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Ace.
I was just asking about attendance. Like, what kind of attendance do you get?
Yeah, that's really going to be our focus this season. We haven't spent too much time really trying to get fans in the seats yet. It's this the stands are full of just our players and our family members, and that does fill them at the moment. But obviously, we're excited to get fans out there. We think Teams is really going to help with that because it's the regionally, the regional teams, right? So wherever you live, you'll have a team close by, so it's a little easier to jump into the sport and start watching. Because you're like, oh, I'm in California, so I'm going to watch the Cali Slingers, right? Like, that's my team. So a little bit easier than as opposed to just turning on ESPN and being like, I guess I'll root for that guy. He's got a cool shirt. Like, I mean, how do you even pick? It doesn't say where they're from on the TV. So, I mean, you just really wouldn't even know who to root for, which makes it harder to watch and have fun with it.
So let's say,
go ahead.
So let's say that Ace and I are like, you know what? We're done with this 9 to 5 working thing. We're not giving up the podcast, but we're done. And by golly, we're going to become a team of cornholers.
Yeah.
How do we get from where we're at now, which is obviously not even knowing how much a point is, how do we get from here up to joining you on the sideline, thanking our mom and our aunt for, for pushing us all the way through, and Oprah?
I love it. I hope this happens, by the way.
Excellent.
So it's really simple. You're just going to go to, iPlayCornhole.com and look for the events happening in your area. And you can start going don't go to like regionals or big things like that yet. Just go to the local events that your local people are throwing, and find out where they are and just start going to those. And I'm telling you, you'll go to 1, 2, or 3 and you will be hooked. You will not want to ever miss it. And then you'll start looking for, okay, how many days a week can I go play cornhole? And then that's when the addiction starts. And then you're good to go from there.
See, we've got 2 sponsors already, Ace. Guarantee it.
Do what?
I said, did you like fall off the side of the earth? I think yours.
It's freezing.
Oh, well, I said we've got sponsors already. If we want to do this and start rolling with it, because I want to go meet Michelle on the sidelines.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to be the Happy Gilmore of cornhole. Yelling at the bag to get in its home and, and beating Shooter McGavin or whatever his name is, Mark Richards.
Happy Gilmore quotes come out of my mouth all the time when I commentate.
You're my new best friend.
You can't. It's too easy. You can't not use them.
Oh, wow. We're besties now.
It works for me.
Mark Richards, I'm coming in for you. That's right. Gotcha.
Oh,
but
man.
we're a team.
He's good.
Oh, Mark Richards, you and your partner, we're coming for you. Is that better?
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
I mean, you can play singles and doubles, so technically both true. We also have a celebrity super hole events where we pair up celebrities with pros.
Best celebrity cornhole player.
Yes. You know what? I'm trying to remember who just won last season. I can't even remember, but Jay Cutler was very good at it.
Really?
And really
sucks
like,
at football, good at cornhole.
Hey,
well, no
I'm
one
gonna
can
stay out of that
no
one.
one can get in between him and the hole.
Oh, good call. No pressure.
We have Terry Kirby, who used to play for the NFL. He is fully addicted. He's actually on track to. He wants to be a pro. He's gonna start trying to be a pro this season. So he's really, really into it. And everyone that's come on as a celebrity is like leaving. Like I'm putting time into this. Like I'm digging this game.
Okay, so can you say who the worst celebrity cornhole player is?
Okay, I feel bad. I don't actually know her name. She's one of the housewives of Salt Lake City. And I just felt so bad for her because the way that it's broadcasted is you can see the player on one side of the screen, you can see the board on the other side of the screen, just the board close up. And she would throw the bag and you'd look at the board and it just never got there. So you're like watching the board. You're like, where'd the bag go? So I felt so bad. She just couldn't get it there. But in her defense, it's not like they're not like practicing most of them before, right? So they're just kind of learning right before. But yeah, she was so sweet. But yeah, her bag just didn't really get to the board. So.
All right. worst.
It's 27 feet, by the way, in case you want to get out your boards. So
Now, is that from the front
to
of the board, front to
Yep.
front? Okay,
Yep.
so I have this wrote down. Do you guys have officials who are like the official board measurer and bag weigher?
Do you have a
yeah,
chain
we
gang?
do. So what was that?
You have a chain gang?
Well,
Like
so
in
we
football?
have, yeah, I mean, we have like a kind of. So the boards are on something called pucks, which makes it so they can't move.
Now I'm thinking
so they set up
hockey.
the boards. Not that kind of puck. It's like a little square that goes on each corner, and the boards don't move. But everything's taped anyway, so if it did move, the players would move it to where it needs to be. And then in terms of the bags, so the bag manufacturers have to be approved by the ACL for them to use them. And so they all go through standardization, and there's random bag tests to make sure everyone's bags are appropriate to play.
It's announced at the stadium. Get your sacks tested.
Yeah, that's
over
exactly
there.
what we say.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up because the day that you contacted us, that day, I had just seen the story about what they're calling Baggate and this scandal, and we were just talking about it. We were just talking about this scandal and, of all things, cornhole. And we're like, what? There's a league, and wait, what? Why are they cheating or whatever, And then we got back with you. So tell us about this cheating scandal, and what are you doing to remedy this?
It's a non-scandal. It's so funny because when the story came out, anyone in the cornhole industry was so confused. We're like, what is it? What are they talking about? Like, I was there at that event. That was back in August. I was commentating on another court. I heard that it was happening, and then, like, I'm not kidding, like 5 minutes later, it was like, all right, back to the game. Like, it was no big deal. Like, I have no idea why the news grabbed it and ran with it. It's perplexing to all of us. We were, like, laughing because they're like, the cornhole world is rocked. We're like, we're good. Like,
That's quite the headline.
It's a non-issue. I don't understand why we're talking about it. So it's just kind of, we were laughing. We're like, hey, well, thanks for the publicity. But it was a non-issue. It wasn't really a thing at all.
Well, funny you say rocked, because that's the exact sentence I'm reading right now in the story.
Yeah. Yeah, we were all laughing at that one. We're like, oh, are we rocked? I didn't know I was rocked.
So you guys don't go around and, like, you suspect this bag, let me say it correctly. You suspect there's something wrong with this bag, and you're not cutting it open like they do with the fish.
Oh, no. I mean, it would be weight and size. Right, so you would weigh it and you would put it in the template, and that's all you have to do.
Just like flying, you put your seat case in the little thing, and if it fits, you fly.
That's exactly right.
I'm going to be a master of this by the time this hour's over
got
with.
It.
So you already had standards in place,
yeah,
for bag, for size and weight, and somehow this turned into a scandal of
because it was probably it was probably the first time someone questioned someone's bag. Do you know what I mean? Like, typically no one ever questions it. So a player questioned another player's bag, and so they tested him. But that, like, never happened. So I guess that would be the story. Yeah, but that was it. It was like it was a non-issue. I don't even know why it hit the news, but we were laughing about it.
It's what happens in pro sports when people are complaining about each other's sacks. I mean, it's what happens.
It's inevitable, right?
It is. It's just like golf when they're talking about their balls.
The good thing is that there's no bad publicity in this case, really. It wasn't a big deal to you guys. And I happened to read a story that I would have never read otherwise. It just kind of popped up. So I'm not the only one that read it, because someone else that was with us saw it. So it's publicity for you, which is good.
Totally.
So how long has the American Cornhole League been around?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was either 5 or 6 years. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it's been about 5 or 6 years.
Constantly growing?
Growing massively.
With no end in sight.
No end in sight, I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing.
Sky's the limit on this. Yeah.
That's an absolute good thing, because like I said, we see it around here all year long. Obviously, they're not pros by any means, but it's nonstop. Everybody says, you want me to pull the boards out? Of course, and they're like 5 feet apart. But when they're supposed to be 27, haha. See, I remembered.
Little tougher at that
Yeah,
distance.
yes. So it's kind of amazing to me that I guess it shouldn't be, because it is a sport. It is something that people enjoy, just like darts or pool or billiards, whatever you want to call it. And then there's cornhole. And again, I go back to just being the name cornhole.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if it was my wife or somebody else that I'm somewhat close to, but they had another name for it.
Someone told me it was called beanbag toss in another region of the country, and I did not know why you would break it down to be so simple. It's beanbag toss. What are you talking about?
Well, where the hell do you get cornhole board? Is it because they were originally filled with corn?
With corn,
yeah.
Which they
See,
are not
I just
anymore.
answered my own damn question.
Yeah, and there's no beans in them either. So no beans, no corn.
No bean hole.
It's plastic resin, but I don't think plastic resin hole sounds quite the same.
The American Plastic Resin Hole League. Yeah,
not quite the ring that we're looking for.
It doesn't. And oh, you're a pro. Yeah, what do you do? Oh, I toss plastic resin bags. Yeah. That doesn't work.
No, it's not gonna work.
Well, and you say it's growing, and that's shown by the people that show up to be pros, right? You said over 800 for 32 slots.
Yeah, so basically the way the pro field works is top 50 of doubles and top 100 of singles automatically requalify. So they're automatically pros. And then there's these standings from attending the event. So like if you're a non-pro and you're competing all year long, you're getting points as you attend events. And so a certain amount of those people based on points also get in automatically. And it leaves a certain amount of spots available just for the pro qualifiers, which happens in Rock Hill at our HQ. And it's like a gauntlet. It's a 1-day event where you just have to compete and make it to the end. And there's 32 spots that you're competing for. And then we also have an application process, which probably won't last. Maybe next season we'll do applications and it probably will go away after that. We use the application process so that we can get people like females in and seniors and different people who didn't necessarily qualify that way, but we want more of them in the pro league. And so that's what we use the application process for. But they also used to use it primarily because they didn't have anyone trying to be pros when they first started, right? So they had to do something.
Right.
But then the need for the application process is pretty much going away, if not already gone.
I can't imagine all day doing that and people just not collapsing left and right by the end of the day, like a endurance test, a gauntlet, as you say.
It's intense.
So really are these drawings for like the doubles or even the singles, whatever? Are these random drawings that the day before, the week before, or is it like that morning we start drawing out of the hat and you're going against this person? Because there's a reason I'm asking that, so I'm curious.
Okay, yeah, it depends on the event. So the first national is going to be random, and then from the standings, it's then seeded throughout the rest of the season in that kind of thing. For opens, there's going to be rounders, 6 rounders, and then you get seeded from the rounders into the bracket.
Okay, so you potentially do know the night before who your opponent's going to be.
For the nationals, we actually, we have a show, ACL Live, where we'll go through the brackets beforehand.
I would totally be taking that buddy out for dinner and getting him drunk. Just so he's completely hungover the next day, and can't throw his bag very well. I totally do that.
You definitely get, there is betting on cornhole as well. That's why we have the brackets and everything like that. We have an account with DraftKings. So you can bet on players. Yeah, and actually that's the second podcast starting next month. Me and another broadcaster, Wally, are doing a sports betting podcast for cornhole.
Nice.
With some other stuff. But yeah, so it's got it all.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about it taking off. You're not joking. I mean, it is taken off, and it's just
right. When you're betting on something, I'm half joking, but when you're betting on something, and that's kind of a sign. You've got this many people showing up for tryouts. You have the ability to bet on it as a fan. those two things alone are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I think.
Exactly.
Has anybody ever intentionally tried to throw their game?
I don't think so. I think everyone's egos are way too big for that.
Oh, good call.
You know, they don't, because your PPR, your points per round, is kind of like, well, it's how you're ranked. So, like, you're not going to do anything to mess up your PPR. You don't want to be messing around with that, even just for one game, because it'll mess up your rankings for the whole season and how you're seated and everything. It would impact a lot.
You mentioned egos. Do you have a lot of personalities? When they hit
I was just kidding.
No,
everyone's really actually, everyone. I mean, there's probably, I can only think of like 3 people who are like loud and fun and kind of like shit talk and that kind of thing. Like, but most of them, I was actually just talking about this on Around the ACL, my other podcast. Like, I think as teams takes off, we might start, because right now it's kind of a gentleman's game. You know, like, it's kind of, everyone's just like quiet and cordial, and, you know, like, I'm wondering with teams if this is going to start to move into, which I'm excited about. Like, I think that it's, you know, when we're broadcasting, it's quiet in the stands. Like, it's like you could hear a pin drop, you know, and
like
that's
golf.
just because we're like golf. Yeah. And that's just like, because no one, but then there was this one event in Tennessee where the stands were full of mostly fans as opposed to pros. And they said it was loud the whole time. I wasn't there. But right now our stands are full of pros who are just not impressed with much when it comes to their peers playing. You know what I mean? But like, you get like, you guys come and watch professional cornhole, you're going to think every shot's amazing. Because you're like, this is crazy. I can't do this. Right. You know, so
we would be loud and everybody would turn around looking at us, and we'd be the one guzzling beer going, woo.
No, like that's what we want. I mean, we want it to be fun and exciting, but like I said, right now the stands are mostly our pros right now, because we just haven't spent time trying to get fans yet. We're just trying to get this pro league going, and it's really taken off that we can start to gear our energy towards bringing our fans into the stands, and I think it's going to change the energy of the room.
Right. And I think when you can start advertising that, you know, your events, and it'll start bringing people in, I think. Yeah. So, but I'm with you. I think the more personality, the better. I think if you get some people out there that are at least fist pumping and high fiving and a little trash talking, that could be fun.
Yeah. We had a really kind of famous line, Jordan Power. He's out of the Great Lakes area. He was playing against Mark Richards, the number 1 player, and they were down. Him and his teammate were down. This was in the championships, and they were down. I think it was like 17-0. So like they were like, oh man. So Jordan Power yells out, because even the number 1 player in the world gets nervous, and at that moment the energy switched, and they ended up coming back and winning it.
Holy crap.
They were down 17-0 and they came back and won. And so like that was like a fun moment, but it was controversial, right? Some people were like, he shouldn't have done that. And other people were like, we love that he did that. And so it just created some excitement around that event for sure.
Yeah, we're totally going. I can't wait, because this is going to be like coming soon to Indianapolis or something. It's going to be, you know, like a full day of cornhole tournaments, and we're going because we're going to be loud.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll tailgate before the event.
Yeah.
A tailgate sport. Isn't that funny? Like, who would have thought? Like, cornhole's what you do when you tailgate other sports.
We can be the amateurs out there tossing, and then go in and just get shit on for looking so bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's an all-day event, right? Like, if the broadcast is at, like, let's say the broadcast is at 8:00. These players have been playing all day, so like, you know, it's open to the public. You can come in and start watching all the games that lead up to the finals that are broadcasted.
Good grief! And the fact that we're talking ESPN, CBS, and all that, they don't just hand their money out and their airtime to anybody. So obviously they see the potential and are like, you know, hey, we could do something, because there's nothing worse than like a Saturday morning and you turn on your TV and it's bowling. That's me personally. I can't stand to watch bowling, but I could watch some cornhole, because that's something that, you know, me and my buddies are going to do next weekend at a barbecue or something. You know, we're not going bowling, but
I know. they mic up the players too, and it's fun. You know, a lot of them will be quiet, but some of them will either talk to their partners or themselves, which
Oh, I
is
would
fun
get
to
in
hear.
so much trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
couldn't
got to
be
remember
mic'd
you're
up.
mic'd up.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, they just shut it off if you're gonna, say bad words.
Yeah, because
Your mic's
there's
gonna
like
get
a
shut
20
off.
or 30-second delay, right?
Yeah, and then I'm sure it's shut off for the rest of the
Oh,
broadcast. I don't think you're coming back
damn.
on. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I mean,
One thing
I
you
don't wear
said
those
wrong.
headphones. I can't hear the players. What was that?
I said one thing you said wrong, and they shut you down.
Yeah.
Oh,
One
no.
thing.
Not forever. I'm just assuming they probably don't want to take their chances on that exact court because they can't talk to you during the game and say, hey, you can't do that.
See, now there's a thought. Because you know how you get players that are mic'd up. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with your NASCAR drivers. When they're driving, you can get on the same frequency as their team, and you can talk to
Right.
them. You guys need to get earpieces for
Yeah,
some of
they
the
don't like the
players,
earpieces.
and just be like, "You're gonna miss," and then just see if it
Well,
throws everything off.
right now they are still allowed to wear headphones. I don't know if that's changing or if it will change, but a lot of the players are wearing headphones with their own music and stuff like that. So as
Cool.
far as I know at this point, they're allowed to still do that.
Okay, yeah, it'd be hard to give up my music.
Well, that's what you need at the events, though. When you get the fans coming in, you need the swirling light show and the thunderstruck coming through the amps.
I actually DJ'd all last. I wasn't sideline reporting last season. I was DJing last season all the events, so I made sure the crowd was happy.
Get some pyro
I kept it-
going.
yeah, I kept it exciting.
What is the typical cornhole crowd or players want to listen to?
Well, this is where I'm gonna differ because they all like country music and I can't stand it. So when I
Yes.
DJ, you're not gonna hear 1 second of country music, which I'm sure is not the preference. But that's what you're gonna get when I'm on luckily, the commissioner, Stacy Moore, who owns the ACL, has the same music taste as me, and I just have to make him happy. So I'm
Exactly.
fine.
Good. We're gonna when our team actually forms and we make it to the big leagues, we're gonna hire you away from the ACL because
Sounds
we've
good.
got Happy Gilmore, we've got music and the same. So yeah, we're hiring you away. Suck it,
Wait.
ACL.
So what are you listening to? You said not country. So slow down,
Yeah,
TBT.
I don't know. Yeah, I was like, you might not have the same taste in music because I primarily listen to hip hop, and the commissioner primarily listens to hip hop.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right, the ACL just hired you back.
I had a feeling, and it's funny because I had some like classic. I think I played like 2 classic rock songs because I like classic rock. And Stacy looked at me and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Okay, no more of those."
Wow.
So I got that. Okay.
The hate
So
steps
that's my
right
dad's
in.
music. I don't want to listen
Yeah,
to my
I
dad's
like it.
music.
I mean, yeah, I don't. It's not his thing. It's not his thing, which is fine.
It probably is her dad's music because that's our music.
Exactly.
Oh,
No, I mean, my dad. I grew up on classic rock. My dad listened to it. I love it as well. But I
Here's
get
the
tired of listening
test.
to the same songs.
here's the test. Who is your favorite classic rock band?
Oh man, it's tough. I mean, I don't know if you consider it a band, but I love Elton John. He's one of my favorites. I like
Okay.
Bob Seger. And
right.
the Eagles, I guess you'd put at the top of my list.
Okay.
And especially since, and I've seen the Eagles live, and I'd say they're my favorite out of all the guys that I've seen. Peter Frampton was really good. But
Oh, you
I
saw
think the Eagles
Frampton.
were probably my favorite. Yes, that was my favorite concert until I saw the Eagles, and I was like, all right, I guess it kind of barely beats Peter Frampton, but
I was
went
just
in to
worried.
see Styx, and came out a Peter
Oh.
Frampton fan.
I love.
So I was like, oh man, yeah.
Yeah, I was just worried because when I was going to ask you to name a band, that you were going to say something that we don't consider classic yet.
Oh yeah.
But you
no.
passed. You did well. You did well.
Yeah,
And,
well, I
and
guess Styx
since
is more 80s, but
yeah,
See-
we're all about 80s.
okay.
Our mutual friend, has he told you his Peter Frampton story?
Yes.
Yeah, about Peter Frampton's daughter.
Yeah.
where there's a story that he's told us where I think Peter Frampton and when his daughter was younger would tell people that her dad used to be a rock star, and she's like like 6, 7 years old or something like that. Which that always cracked me up. Yeah, that's my dad. He used to be a rock star.
Used to be. He's kind of a nobody now.
He's nobody now. My dad.
He's no big deal. Oh man.
Before we move into your other interests, I do have to make one remark in regards to music since we're talking about it. I'm still beside myself when I get to see Rob Halford and Dolly Parton sing together. And that was cool. Just at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Phenomenal. You can't really hear Rob that much, but to have him bring it down a notch to where he can sing Jolene, then that means my time on earth has been well spent.
Well, you saw she came. Go ahead.
I was like, who was really entertaining was Edgar Winter.
Right?
He works the stage.
And he's like 90 or something. I don't know.
It was so funny. I was like, this guy's got it going on.
Yep.
Oh, that was good too.
So if you go to cornholemeesh.com, that's cornhole and then meesh.com, you can read a lot of stuff about Michelle. She talks about cornhole, of course. You can listen to some of the podcasts and see some of her videos. But one of the things that you're going to notice is that when you read the stuff about her, is that she does a lot of, I guess you'd call it psychology help for, is this for both men and women, or do you primarily focus on women?
I only focus on women because they're the ones that tend to ask for it. But it's
that's fair.
I mean, I shouldn't say it's no different in terms of my ability to help men and women, but I would speak about it differently to men and women.
Okay. Because I found that when I was reading it, the one sentence I found really, really interesting. How did you combine your passion to help people and in this passion of cornhole? How did those two mesh and combine into how you, in one of the ways you do help people? I'm trying to not give it away without having people go and look at it. But.
No, that's good. You're good. So basically what people might not know if you haven't played cornhole more than just your backyard is that it's about 90% mental once you get past the basic mechanics. So if you're still trying to get your shot down, this doesn't apply to you yet. But once you have your shot down, the game becomes mostly mental. And at that level, so we're talking about the competitive, advanced, and pro level. You're going to start missing shots that you don't know why you're missing. You're going to notice the pressure when you're on camera, when you have crowds. And it's very difficult for players to deal with that because they've not done mental work. They've only done reps out on the court. So this is when I can come in and use my background in psychology, in neurolinguistic programming, in hypnotherapy, in mindfulness, in meditation, and start to help these players. So I created a boot camp with a pro, who Ryan Smith, and he's a top pro, and we came together and created a boot camp. And I put the mechanical stuff in there because that's what people want, and that's what they think they need to get better. They think I just need to do more reps. I just need to throw more bags. That's true to a point, but what they don't realize is how much mental work they need. So I just snuck it in there, just like, oh yeah, this is a cornhole boot camp. Just like follow the steps. And like, I just put in all this meditation and mindfulness and journaling and yoga and all the things that I teach on the other side of my business. And what was cool about it was after the 30 days, I had so many people say like, not only am I better at cornhole, but like my life is better. Like I'm calmer. I take breaths. I've slowed down. Like, I'm like, yay, it worked.
So it, like you said, that's a 30-day, 4-week program that you have broken up into weeks.
Yeah. So there's daily, I give them 90 days to do it because not everybody wants to do something every day and you don't have to do it consecutive days. So it's basically 30 things to do over the course of 90 days. And you have a daily task. So it might just be something small like today when you're practicing, think about X, Y, or Z. So it's not like, and then other days it might be listen to this meditation or journal about this question.
That is awesome. You stopped talking right when I got done drinking. That was perfect.
I
Um,
know. It's great
now,
timing.
excuse me, you've got another one on your website that's called 60 Days to Lighten Up. Is
Yeah, so
this
that's the weight loss. Sorry,
right?
there's
Right.
Yeah.
that delay. Yeah, so that's the weight loss program. That's what I've been teaching since, man, I started teaching weight loss in 2009. I started personal training in 2006, and then I had my own issues with weight and binge eating. I kind of came through on the other side of that, and then I started teaching that stuff that I teach now.
Do you feel that it's easier for people to, I guess relate when you can say you've been through the same thing they have or relatively close to what they have?
Yeah, because I think one of the things that's really challenging for people who have never struggled with weight or food is they say things very rationally and logically, like, why don't you just stop eating cake? Or why don't you just exercise? Or like, as if it's that simple. And I think unless you've actually had experience with either addictions or actually weight, you don't understand that when you're in that state of mind, you're not in a logical rational state of mind. So you want more than anything to stop eating the cake, but you literally can't. And so I just think that if you haven't experienced that or don't have that kind of understanding, it'd be really difficult to lead people down that path.
Yeah, Ace and I are both very uh, we're very familiar with addiction, with what we do on the outside or did on the outside of this program. But what a lot of people don't realize too, and a lot of people don't think of, is that addiction doesn't have to be drugs. It doesn't have to be food. It doesn't have to be, sex or whatever. I mean, you can be addicted to literally anything. We could be addicted to this podcast, and it
Yeah.
go, 72 hours straight just because we're afraid we're going to miss something or whatever. But you can be addicted to basically anything.
Well, gambling.
Exactly.
Gambling, yeah. Which I don't understand because I could not get used to losing my money. Now, the thought of wanting to
Right.
make more would be great,
Yeah.
but
You're
when I
like
see it
chasing the
dwindling,
high, right? You're chasing the high. It's a different kind of high.
yep.
No
Yeah.
different than any other drug, I suppose. But yeah, like I know for me, I was addicted to, but aside from food, I was addicted to busyness, right? I kind of traded like, okay, I'm not binge eating anymore, but I'm working constantly and I'm disconnecting from my husband and my child and my friends because I just want to be in my office. So, I mean, I can see it play out in many different ways.
You were substituting one thing for another. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So
you talk about when you were talking about the weight loss stuff, it almost sounded like you were talking about willpower, but is that a dirty word? Like willpower?
I don't think it exists really, or actually, I should say, I don't think it matters. Like the people who aren't struggling with weight and food, they're not struggling because they have stronger willpower. The vast majority of them, they're struggling in it because they're not struggling because they're not in an irrational, illogical part of their brain. But when you deprive yourself and restrict yourself and you're terrified of gaining weight and your parents told you that sugar is going to make you fat and the industry, like when you have all those messages, you can't be making clear, logical decisions. So you're asking someone it'd be like telling your kid who's 5, no monsters in the closet. Like it's not rational, right? It doesn't matter how many times you tell them there's no monsters. They're afraid of it and they believe it's there. And so when we tell someone who struggles with weight, just eat less, move more, that's essentially what you're doing. You're just like, there's no monsters. What's your problem? Get over it. It's just not the way you approach it for long-term results.
Right. And for people that aren't in those situations, it just doesn't make sense. It
They don't
doesn't
get
make
it.
sense for you to take another drug when you know you shouldn't take another drug. You just want to smack it. Hey, don't do that. But it's not
Mm-hmm.
like that, and it's hard to wrap your head around it when you're not in that situation.
Agreed.
yeah, it's
Agreed.
like
And
that.
I've actually, oh, go ahead.
Please.
Oh, say I've helped people who had other addictions too. Like they hired me for weight, but then they had maybe other things they were overindulging, whether it's drugs or alcohol. and I would help them approach it the same way I did with food and see that same kind of result, which is the opposite, right? Because most people say restrict or deprive, and I actually say the opposite. I'm like, no, we're going to indulge, but we're going to indulge with presence and with real intention, right? So like, for example, I am looking forward to my glass of wine tonight. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
You can drink your glass of wine. You can drink 10 bottles of wine, but before we even start, we're going to take 5 deep breaths. We're going to turn off the TV. We're going to sit at the table. We're going to taste every sip. We're going to slow it down. And what it does is it removes the excitement about it because I'm no longer saying it's off limits. And then I'm creating mindfulness around it. So now they're really enjoying it and they're satisfied. Or they're like, this isn't really what I even want. And they can make a decision to do something else.
That
My
almost
mind's
sounds like
blown.
yeah.
I'm not having wine tonight.
What? No, I mean, you can have it if you want. There's nothing wrong with it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the thing.
Whew, just making sure.
Like, no
Is that a
judgment. I am
moderation
like,
thing?
yeah, but moderation from yourself, not external moderation. Like, it's happening naturally. So if you're trying to do it in moderation where it's already not working. So we want to get to a place where, like, I've had people say, like, I don't want ice cream. I'm like, no, you want it. You don't want to want it. And that's 2 very different things. So I can help them go from that to, I actually just don't even want it. Like, I truly
You're
don't
speaking
want
my
it.
language there because I have it every night. I'm hooked
Yeah, so
on ice
okay,
cream.
I just did the ice cream one with someone else. Okay, so are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Will you try this? Okay, so here's what you're gonna do. So first of all, go to the store and buy your favorite ice cream. Like, don't worry about the like low calorie or I shouldn't get this kind. Get exactly what you want and get like 2 or 3 of them if you have the freezer space. So
And chat, I want you guys to pay attention.
it needs to feel abundant, okay? You can't have any deprivation around it. That's step 1. Step 2 is you have to, the thought process is I can have as much ice cream as I could possibly want for the rest of my life. I never have to stop eating ice cream. It's never off limits. I could eat ice cream breakfast, lunch, and dinner if I want to. So complete abundance around it, okay? Then get excited. Like, oh, I'm going to eat ice cream after dinner, so I'm going to leave some room for it because then it's more enjoyable because now I have an appetite for it. So don't like eat your dinner and be like, I'm going to try not to eat ice cream. Actually leave room for it. Like, I'm going to eat this much of my dinner, eat this much ice cream afterwards. Then when you eat your ice cream, no distractions, go sit at the table, put it in a bowl, light a candle. I don't care what you have to do. Make it an incredible experience. Like, this is my ice cream time. I look forward to it every night. This is my thing. It's my jam. I love it. Take a bite, taste it, go over the flavors in your head. Make it a whole experience. And I promise you, after 1, 2, maybe 3 days, you're going to be like, I'm good on the ice cream thing. I don't need that much.
I didn't mean to take the ice cream out on a date.
Yeah, you're going to take the ice cream out on a freaking date. And there's a reason that I do that. There's something called the head phase of digestion that everybody just overlooks. And when you don't feed the head phase of digestion, you want more and more and more. So those things I just said feeds that. And that's why you don't overeat it.
It goes back to what you just said a minute ago, moderation from yourself.
From yourself, correct.
Yeah, see, I wrote that down because that's pretty tight. I like that.
Good.
Yeah,
I hope it helps.
Exactly what I do. I think to myself, I'm going to make room. I'm going to have it no matter what. It doesn't matter how much I eat. I'm going to have ice cream. And then I think, well, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should wait. Maybe tonight's not tonight. And then I sit there the whole time while I'm on the couch watching a show, thinking I want ice cream the whole time. Mm-hmm. And I'm denying myself.
That's deprivation, right? Yeah. What you resist persists, right? So you can't resist it. You got to face it. And don't be afraid to face it. And the only reason why we think we're going to feel like, no, I'll just eat all of it forever. You won't once you bring presence to it because your brain won't let you. But if your brain's not involved, then yeah, I mean, you're just going to keep wanting to do it over and over again because you're chasing that high once again, right? Like, you're not actually experiencing it. You're chasing the experience, but you're never giving yourself the actual experience because either you're distracted, you're not present, or you're beating yourself up for wanting it or doing it. So you got to eliminate those and enjoy it. Yeah. And it doesn't take long.
I can imagine this date that I'm taking the ice cream on, where I'm at the kitchen table. I've got the candle lit. I've got the lights are low, and I am savoring every bite.
Yes.
And my wife's on the couch, and she's yelling at me, "How long are you going to take? I want to watch The Handmaid's Tale, and I'm waiting for you."
As long as it takes.
And it's like, as long as it takes.
That's right. You're on a date, okay? Give yourself some time.
Right.
Now, can you
I'll
do
be there in a
this? Can you do the same thing with with substances that have the drug in them? I'm talking like caffeine or
Or smoking.
nicotine, stuff like that. Same principle.
Yes, and this would be probably controversial, so I'll like, put that warning out
Oh,
there.
that's
This is
okay.
not
We'd love it.
I'm just saying, like, this is how I would approach it, but I definitely would recommend having a professional help if you're going to do those things. But yes, basically whatever it is that you're overindulging in is an indication that you're depriving of it. So it doesn't mean you're not having it. That's the misconception. People are like, no, I smoke 15 packs of cigarettes. Like, I'm not depriving myself. Well, you are if you're either mindless or telling yourself the whole time that you shouldn't be doing it or judging yourself for it, that you're not able to actually get the real benefit from it. And so it's really removing all the judgment off of it. And that's really difficult with something like cigarettes, right? Because like the whole world is like, you should not be doing this. So it's, I work with diabetics, and they're supposed to not have sugar, and I have to have them face the sugar, or they're going to be chasing that deprivation for the rest of their life. So it's very controversial the way I do it, for sure. But it's absolutely backed by science. It's just the psychology world as opposed to the kind of natural science world.
But you've seen it work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That takes care of the controversy on my part. I mean, if you can say that there's controversy behind it, but yet you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I've done it. It works. I've seen it with my own eyes. Then, I mean, there you go.
Yeah, for sure. And I helped someone with marijuana. She just didn't like how much she smoked, especially because it was leading to a lot of binge eating. And so this is what I did. I said, you can smoke as much marijuana as you want, but it has to be mindful, right? So go make it an experience. Walk outside, just like have a date with the joint.
Take it on a date.
Yep, take it on a date. Really enjoy it. Remove the judgment. And I don't think it took more than a couple days before she was like, I'm good.
Now, see, I can see this working for everything with the exception of one thing, and that's like if I was addicted to my wife, it just wouldn't work because I'd have to take her out on a date, and then I'd be right back to square one.
That might be different. I don't know.
Exactly. So I've also noticed that that you've got you've published 3 books.
Yes.
When have you had time for any of this?
Well, I started my business when I was 23, and now I'm 37, so it's been, some time.
Yeah, okay, that's like, what, 6 years?
23 to 37?
Look, don't mess with me in math, okay?
All right, well, you do need to know basic math for cornhole, okay? Because you have to do cancellation scoring, so
what?
Gonna have to brush up on those
No. I'm going to hire a scorer.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I can't do
that. Okay, if I can hire a scorer, we'll be fine. Anyway, enough about us. Your 3 books, and I'm gonna name them, and if they're wrong, that's your fault because it's your website. The Weight Loss Shift, Be More, Weigh Less, Have Your Cake and Be Happy Too, a book dedicated to Ace and his ice cream.
That's right.
That's right.
And then the last one is that Chakra?
Yep.
The Chakra.
Yeah. The Chakra Secret, What Your Body is Telling You. All of these are available on Amazon. The Chakra Secret has got the most badass looking cover.
That's my publisher, so you can thank them for that.
Oh, see, and here I was trying to give you all mad props for it.
I didn't do any, no, they did it all.
It sucks now.
Yeah, they could have done better.
Yeah, as long as it's selling, that's all that matters. Now, are these all self-help books? Yeah,
so the Weight Loss Shift is the first book I wrote, and that's kind of like laying the foundation for the idea of thinking about weight differently. So I broke up the book in 3 sections: be, do, have, because we are human beings, but we kind of act like human doings. So I'm trying to get everyone to kind of focus more on who you're being versus what you're doing, because behavior change is very difficult when you approach it that way. But if you change who you're being, then the behaviors tend to change automatically. So just trying to kind of flip that to the order it's supposed to be. So I kind of think of that as like the foundation, and then have your cake and be happy too is more of like a step-by-step, kind of what I was telling you, Ace, like things you can actually do to approach these different things. You can kind of follow it as a guide. And then the chakra secret is just going into the various chakras, which is something we talk about a lot in yoga, the energy centers of the body, and if they're blocked, kind of what that might look like and what you can do about it.
Nice. You can get them on Amazon for your Kindle. You can get paperback copies, any of it. Go check out Michelle's website. It is cornholemeesh.com. That's cornhole, meesh.com. Check them out. All the books are there. Her programs are on there as far as the courses. Her Cornhole Boot Camp, Lighten Up program. She offers private sessions. Ace will be calling you soon for help on his ice cream.
You got to keep me posted on how it goes.
Yeah, see, there you go. Are you eating ice cream tonight?
Probably not. I will feel so bad.
You're so full of shit.
No, I'll have some.
I'm going to call your wife later and be like, is he having ice cream? And she's going to take a picture and send it. And I'm going to send it straight to Michelle and say,
as long as he's sitting at the table with a candle lit, I mean, that's perfect.
Bro, no. if you do not sit at the table with a freaking bowl of ice cream and a candle and take that picture and it goes up on our social media, then this has been all for nothing.
Agreed.
I feel a challenge.
Oh yeah, I don't think you will.
Yeah.
Challenge.
Yeah, you've just been challenged.
Perfect.
Challenge accepted.
Good. Well, listen, Michelle, we want to thank you so much for being on. We've been going at this for well over an hour, and I feel absolutely. Cornhole is a whole new thing for me now, and I'm really going to have to do some more research. I'm sure Ace will too, but I mean, there's a lot more to it than I thought, and you have definitely opened up my interest in it a lot. I want to thank you on a personal note for the other side of what you're doing and trying to help people, because we don't see enough of that anymore. And there's a lot of people out there. This sounds horrible, but there's a lot of people out there that need assistance. We'll stay away from help, but they need the assistance. They're afraid to ask for it. And it's just, I mean, guys are horrible for it. There's a lot that a lot of veterans come back with PTSD or whatever, and they can't go to the VA or their local doctor and say, hey, I need some help. So I applaud you very much for what you're doing and for your outreach. And again, that's from a personal level. I appreciate that. But once again, thank you for joining us. Don't go nowhere. Once we get this ended, before we go, of course, I got to give the normal shout outs to the chat. Also, you've been challenged in the chat to take the picture.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah. I'll have a date with whatever your forbidden food is. Mine was potato chips. So whether it's ice cream or whatever.
No, it's ice cream.
I'm not having a forbidden picture with bourbon.
It's forbidden.
Yeah, no, because I don't want to get rid of it. So,
no, you won't get rid of it. You'll just have it in actual moderation, like in the amount that feels good and not more.
Right. I already do.
Then you're good.
I'll still take it on a date, though. Shout out to the chat, Shannon, Kathy, Natalie, everybody else that's in there. Those are the only ones that have the balls enough to start speaking up and talking. And of course, Jason at Bad Company Barbecue. Check him out at badcompanyBarbecue.com. Kathy, who is in the chat, Music and More Records. You guys make sure you go visit them on all of the social media sites. And this includes Michelle. Go check out all of her social media. If you look at the post that we did earlier in the week, we've got her tagged on there, and we will get her social media tagged in all of these videos and the podcast itself on all of the platforms, blah, blah, blah. So we will have it. Check her out. Follow her. We'll look for her on NBC or on CBS. I almost said the forbidden name. Look for her on CBS and ESPN. And we will not be back next week because I'm not going to be here.
No, he's going on a cruise.
Unless
that's where he's taking bourbon.
Unless you want to do this yourself next week, all alone, you can.
No, I don't. I can't talk that long.
Just 10 minutes.
Can't.
A 10-minute.
I might
podcast.
have to have Michelle come on with me, and we'll just have to
do a 5-minute podcast.
That's what it would be.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll get something up next week. It won't be a full show, but we'll be back the week after that. And we may have a guest. I don't know. But anyway, thanks for joining us tonight, Michelle. Once again, thank you. I am TBT. That guy over there. Oh, I did it wrong. It's the first time in a long time. That guy over there is Ace. And we'll catch you guys again soon. Bye.